Hello, friends, and welcome back to r/ProRevenge. Sometimes your boss's stupidity can get you a day off, and you get paid for it. But before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you're new here and turn on notifications so you don't miss a new video every single day. Here we go. Driving down an icy hill. I was a service tech who did scheduled calls to customers' homes. We generally had anywhere from 8 to 12 jobs a day as we were swamped. As one of the lead techs, I was also assigned jobs that most of the other techs had no training to fix. On this particular day, it began snowing and icing and the road conditions began worsening. No issue normally as long as I could just avoid a few streets in town that have steep hills. I have a job in a newer area, and when I get to the neighborhood, I notice the house is at the bottom of the hills, pretty steep, on a dead-end street. I park at the top and message my supervisor and tell him I'd recommend we reschedule the job as my truck would never make it back up the hill. He must have been having a bad day, but he goes off on me and demands I just do the job. The road conditions were not that bad. I took a photo of the hill and sent it, but he still demanded I do the job. I would also note that my truck is vital to the work and I couldn't have walked to the home due to the equipment in the truck that's required. So I saved the message and sent it to my personal account. Getting to the customer home was no issue, and I had them up and running in under 30 minutes. I followed my supervisor demands and did the job. Leaving was another issue. I couldn't get to the top of the hill with the truck. I quickly gave up once I determined it was hopeless. Me. I'm stuck at the bottom of a hill and unable to get my truck up it. My other scheduled jobs will have to be reassigned and a tow truck called to get me out. Supervisor. Try harder. It's not hard to drive on icy conditions. At this point, I feel it's unsafe to do so from this point on. I feel I could damage the homeowner's property. See prior messages about the hill being too steep and my request for it to be rescheduled being denied. At this point, the supervisor calls me and I confirm that I'll not attempt to further climb the hill. He grumbles but knows me enough not to push me, so tells me to hang on. I wait 45 minutes and he shows up in his work truck, much smaller and lighter than mine. He doesn't even attempt to go down the hill but walks. He tries for a while to get my truck up himself, but then accidentally hits a mailbox. He gives up and calls a tow truck. With wintry conditions, I wait another 3 hours for a truck to arrive. When they do arrive, they also get stuck at the bottom of the hill. Not sure why they even tried going down it. Now me and a tow truck are stuck at the bottom of the hill, and this time the wait's even longer. They needed to bring in a specialty truck, which turns out does not have a long enough chain to reach us at the bottom of the hill. We wait even longer for a third tow truck to arrive. Overall, I arrived at the customer home around 9:30 a.m. and finish about 10 a.m. I don't get up the hill until 7 p.m. 9 hours I was at the bottom of the hill with my truck running while I played online on my laptop. Instead of working in the wintry conditions outside, I was toasty in the cab. Oh, I got paid for those 9 hours. Pro tip. When your subordinate quits fighting you and just demands your orders be written out, think really hard about why they might think what you want is a bad idea. And our second story. Steal my meds? Enjoy divorce, jail, joblessness, and sleeping in your car. 16 years ago, I made a friend one day on the bus. Up until about a year ago, I considered this guy a member of my family. Let's call this guy Joel. So I keep a crystal box on the mantle above my fireplace full of my medications. I started noticing that after poker night, my box seemed a lot emptier than it should, so I set up a camera to see which of my guests was helping themselves when my back was turned. Next poker night, once everyone's gone, I pull up the video. There Joel was, plain as day, stuffing like $60 worth of my medication into his pocket. I sent him the video and told him he had to return my medication or pay for it, and I told him that if he chose to do neither, he should no longer consider me a friend. He denied it. Even with the video staring him in the face, he said that he hadn't taken anything. He even had the nerve to act offended by the fact that I accused him. So I decided to ruin his life. Over the years, he told me a lot of things he didn't want his wife to know. Affairs, shady crap he did with their joint funds, alcohol issues, terrible things he said about her, her mother, and her sister. I went back through all of our messages and took screenshots of everything secret he'd ever said to me. There were over 70 pics. I sent her the screenshots. Here are some examples of the kind of stuff that was in the screenshots. He admitted to cheating on her with 8 different women over the course of the friendship, taking money they were saving for a car and using it to buy different crap, the fact that he was continuing to drink after he promised her he was clean and sober, some of the things he said about her and her family. She's a vile, disgusting woman. He said that all of her friends only pretend to like her. Also, as I'm editing this, I just remembered that he said he wanted to get one of his side chicks pregnant because he'd always resented his wife for being infertile. Her sister's an insane harpy. Her sister abuses her kids. This is not true, but he said it. Her sister is faking her autoimmune disease for attention. Her mom is a fat, lazy cow who doesn't actually need to be in a wheelchair, so she's malingering. There were more things, but that's what came to mind without me having to dig through the screenshots I sent. She filed for divorce and reported him to the police for the theft. While he was doing his 8 months in jail for the illegal substances, his boss filled his position and he lost his job. His now ex-wife won't let him into her house. Now he lives in a car and showers at truck stops. I found out about the aftermath in parts. Some came from his ex-wife. She told me about the divorce, kicking him out, and getting him arrested. Some came from a guy Joel and I used to both be friends with who works at the place Joel used to work. He told me about the job loss, car living, and the truck stop thing. I'm still on good terms with his ex-wife. I even sent her some enchiladas the other day for Cinco de Mayo. I also sent the video to all of our mutual friends, so he lost 90% of his social circle. I cut that other 10% out of my own life since they want to associate with known thieves. Birds of a feather. And our last story. You won the work. No, you didn't. We can get it cheaper. Help us. I worked for an events hire company. We supplied everything from AV to display stands, fencing, staging, etc. So I worked with an organizer that was looking to host a beers and wines festival. Had multiple meetings and I provided far too many quotes and prices, but eventually it paid off and they signed off to work with us. Fast forward about 2 weeks later, I've had little contact from her, which was very unusual. Out of the blue, she emails me saying they'd found a cheaper supplier, almost half the price, and that we were ripping her off, and if we didn't void the contract and return the deposit, she'd take legal action. Our prices were very fair and competitive with our main competitors, so this really didn't make sense at all as to why it'd be so insanely cheap. I've had this before, and in my experience, it's just best to let these organizers go, rip up the contract, and return the deposit. If you force them to work with you, it becomes an absolute nightmare and just isn't worth it in the long run as you work with these people for months leading up to the event. The event was still quite a ways away, so I was confident I could fill the spot with another. Anyway, it's now 3 days before the festival opens, and I get a call from the organizer. Paul is the organizer, me is me. Paul. Oh, Pete, you have to help me. It's Paul. Me. Sure, what's up? Paul. The suppliers arrived to install and the equipment's unusable. The marquees are ripped, displays can barely stand up. They didn't bring any AV. It's a disaster. Me. Okay, so before I go back to my team, are you needing everything we quoted you right now? Paul. Yes, everything. I go back to my team, and although we had a bid on, we agreed we could supply what she needed in time, but would naturally need to charge premium because it was late AF and meant serious overtime. We didn't want to do it, but pulling her out of the crap would have made waves in our industry and bound to get good words to the right ears due to the festival's size. So I call Paul back. Me. Paul, I have great news. We can get down there later this afternoon and we'll work non-stop over the next 2 days to get this done for you. Paul. You're a lifesaver. Thank you all so much. Me. Now we will require 90% upfront payment and you can pay the remaining 10% after install is complete. I'll send you an invoice now, but please know the invoice will be a larger amount than before. Approximately 30% more due to overtime and just being late. Pretty standard for an event this size. Guess how the mood turns now? Paul, but we had a contract. We have a set amount. You need to honor that. Me, you made us rip it up and threaten a lawsuit if we made you stick to it. Those are the prices. No other company in the city will be able to deliver what you're asking at this late notice regardless. The price is the price. You can take it or leave it. Paul, this is crazy. We had a contract. He threw some nasty words my way about how we're useless and gonna get sued. Me, you have 2 hours to let me know if you want to move ahead. Otherwise, the stock will not be available. Goodbye. Long story short, she never called back and went ahead with the other supplier. Festival was a disaster. She'd also charged independent mobile food vendors and retailers to be at this festival and charged them premium for each spot. The vendors constantly lost power, water, and had zero support during the show, so they naturally took her to court for the money back as they lost money attending the festival. Long story short, she had to pay back all the businesses that had purchased a spot at the festival through a court order and lost her business. They tried to sue us and blame us for the whole catastrophe, but it didn't go far. Before you say it's sad she lost her livelihood, firstly, she should have canned that event there and then. It doesn't take an organizer to see that it was in no way going to be successful. Secondly, we found out through industry people that she's done this before but got away with it, so F her. She tried to personally sue me as well, which didn't go far either, but still wasted a lot of my time. You guys went above and beyond in my opinion. I just said no thanks after the first bombshell. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.